G'day mate and welcome to Factorio Friday Facts 274, and I've got me and Doctor with me again. Hey mate.
G'day, how you going?
Good. I'm been curious about this particular Friday fact and when it's going to show up, covering the fluid system, because last time it had some real promises, but it also was really bad at junctions, and in the last Friday Facts where they covered the fluid system, I thought, hang on, refineries are nothing but three-way junctions with pipes.
Yes.
There is no straight pipes, not if it's done right. So, yeah, by all means, I like overhaul the whole game so it's all done with straight pipes. And I'm sold, but yeah. So, yeah, we've got the new fluid system 2 by Dominic. Hi Factorians, which is the second Factorio Friday Facts he's ever done, and that's the second time he's introduced himself with the started with Hi Factorians. But yeah, okay. In FFX 260, I read about how it all started, what we're doing, and what the plan is with the fluid system. The forum users produced many ideas of how the system could work, and about a third of them was fluid teleportation, which I am definitely a fan of, because that's about as UPS unintensive as we can get. Yeah. What intrigued me was a large variety of backgrounds all the different users came from, different types of engineers, mechanical, CS, electrical, mathematicians, physicists, and even people with real pipes hands-on experience. There were two proposals on the forum that were so good they made it into the game, from Quinor and the Yeast. Both these proposals were very similar and kind of similar to the previous game logic. Quintor's version allowed a perfect throughput with 3 passes over the fluid box being the thing managing the fluids for the entities, so I'll talk to them, whilst Yeast was a 2-pass with 1/4 throughput. What was outstanding though is the Yeast, a physicist, supported the model with a nice theoretical background, and what's more, he made an amazing JS simulator test and compare various modifications of the model. Because an extra pass in Quinter's version was too high a price for the perfect throughput, I went with the Yeast's 2-pass one. Since the old algorithm used a single pass to run by entities for the update, I first needed to overhaul the whole system to allow accommodating for the new one. Going from 1 pass to 2 passes necessarily means a higher complexity, so made a big effort to optimize everything we could make until we were sure it still ends up faster than 0.16. Kovacs wrote about that last week, or the other week ago, a couple of weeks ago. So the new algorithm. The new algorithm follows realistic wave equations. It works with 2 variables: the volume of a fluid in a fluid box and the corresponding column height, the flow speed and the connection between fluid boxes. The exact behavior depends on 2 constraints. C to the power of 2 corresponds to the mass of liquid, affects how quickly it changes, waves, and propagate. Friction affects how quickly the throughput drops with pipe length. The first good news is these variables can now be set for fluids separately, so behavior can be achieved, e.g. crude oil pipeline will require some pumps, whereas steam will be totally fine. And then we got this nice pretty graphic.
Yes.
And the only thing it's told me is oil's going to be a pain in the ass to deal with. Nothing's changed. Water will hopefully flow further. So it means rather than, like, you can have, I think it's 2 pumps or 3 pumps to then do, I think it's 2 pumps to then you can do 30 steam engines in a row or 30 boilers in a row. But you need that second pump for the higher throughput, not for more fluid per pipe. It's the higher throughput to make it through more pipe segments. So maybe we can get away with only having 1 pump now? I don't know. And petroleum will flow forever.
Yep.
Which is great, but
Perhaps because it's a gas. I wonder what about heavy and light?
well,
Are they going to be more like the crude model, or are they going to be like the petroleum model?
I'm curious as well, and I really think that what's going to happen is when 17 releases, somebody's going to do this exact screenshot as a GIF with all the different liquids So you'll have crude, you'll have water, you'll have heavy, you'll have light, you'll have petroleum, you'll have acid, you'll have lube, and you'll have steam. And people run a demo with, like, here's all the pipes, and we're going to watch them flow along, and then we can sort of work out where things rate as to speed and eventual drop off to next to nothing throughput.
Well, it's good that someone's going to do that because, I mean, someone's done something like that in the past. We've got this black box that we've been dealing with, and really all it comes down to is about every 2 pipe lengths you need a pump to get any decent throughput through a length of pipe from somewhere.
To have maximum throughput, yeah, it's every 2 segments of pipe you have to have a pump, which then means pump, underground down, underground up, pump.
Pump, exactly.
Yeah, rinse and repeat. The funny thing is, you can actually do pump, tank, pump, and then that's still 2 pipe segments. But it lets you turn corners and do all sorts of fun things. So yeah. The 2-pass algorithm for one update, leaving out many details as follow. Update the speeds on all connections. D equals difference of fluid column. Input has always 0, output has max. D multiplying equals c to the power 2, whatever that means. So distance.
It might be like an assignment statement. I mean, languages don't like to just use an equals sign if they're doing assignments, although Lua it's double equals, so I'm not really sure, but I mean, the second part of it is c squared.
Yeah. No, it's c squared, not c to the power 2. It's late again, you know.
Well, c to the power 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, c squared.
Look, there's a pretty little model which I'll show shortly, and I'll have a play with, and you can have a play with it. And look, I'd recommend. I already noticed a few things with playing with the model in it's a JavaScript model. It's interactive, and there's a few little interesting quirks that I noticed that, yeah, may make it in the game, may not make it in the game. Anyway, the biggest catch is that, as far as I understand, it's not clear in the Friday Facts, and I've actually read through all 16 pages of the forums about all the comments going back between the Yeast and Dominic. Yep, Dominic and everybody else, and I'm still not sure if a pipe has maximum of 1/4 throughput total, or eventually that throughput can be increased if the flow is consistent. And I'm not sure if it's 1/4 per tick, at which point that's probably okay, or what. Anyway, so 1, we do lots of things. 2, we do other things. We actually move stuff.
Yep.
The other algorithm is so simple and works so well, it always requires very small changes. It was a clear winner. The main downside is it can only move 1/4 of a fluid box content in 1 tick. Which sounds simple, but then as I went and read the forums, and now I'm not sure. So fluid boxes are enlarged to compensate. Another is the fluids seem to travel quite slowly in an empty pipe, but it's actually quite realistic and looks nice. The third issue may be some waves and oscillations, which are a result of the realistic model, and are very small with the current dampening model. This could be limited even further by introducing continuous fluid production and consumption, but it does not seem necessary at the moment. Wait till you get when you get over. What you get over version 16 is that fluids now behave correctly and intuitively. Performance is consistent. Pipe to grounds won't help you with throughput anymore. Different fluids actually move differently. And then again, we've got the original graphic that they did in 260.
Yes. And yes, this definitely it looks better with the flow characteristics here, but I mean, I'm probably thinking what I'm guessing is the same thing as on your mind as well. Do we need this level of realism versus I would just like the best performance you can get through these pipes? And we know that pipes is a big issue and has been for a very long period of time, and we're getting all this realism instead of optimizing the throughput.
It was belts were bad. Belts have now been fixed. Bots are bad, but they can be compensated by build smaller bot networks. Don't flood your network with 1,000 bots. Don't spread your network across, 5 screens worth, and that way, when you walk in a base, the Logibot on the far west-hand side of the map decides to fly to the far eastern side of the map to pick up an inserter to fly back to you on the far western side of the map to drop it in your inventory, which happens.
Indeed.
But pipe networks, there's nothing you can do to minimize them. People are only building generally the pipes that they need to have their refineries run. And yes, this is very, very realistic, and it's fixed a lot of the problems that already exist in 16 with pipes preferring to fill this way or fill that way.
Which are definitely issues, there's no doubt about it.
Correct, but then again, we've learnt how to get around them via using pumps to direct flow, etc., etc. But yeah, I'm wondering, do we need the level of realism? I'm still a little bit on the, just make it like the electric network, and things just magically happen via teleportation, and
Yep. Fluid, we have this much fluid coming in, so it can be shared to all the entities.
Yeah, pretty much, and physically have pipes connect things rather than, power poles have wires, right?
Yeah.
And a range of effect, but just physically have pipes connect things, and if it's a red pipe, it carries heavy. If it's a yellow pipe, it carries light. If it's a black pipe, it carries oil, and if it's the other colored pipe that you're gonna have to invent because petroleum's pretty black as well, it carries petroleum. But yeah, it's
the maximum amount available is whatever all the inputs are, and that's what everything can have, divided by the number of things drawing off it.
Yeah, and like a tank becomes an accumulator. It's I don't know. But yeah,
I do love the amount of information they're going to give now, though.
Look, yes, they do have a small but handy improvement. You can now see the flow rate information entered for each pipe. So yes, now we can hover over each pipe and see the flow rate. The only thing it's not telling me is which way that fluid is flowing. So that's just a tidbit I'd like to add it in. Just flow rate of 173 with just a left arrow or right arrow or a down or an up, just depending which way it's flowing. That's my only tidbit request.
Yeah, that would be nice.
So yeah,
they often have the graphic kind of suggestive, I suppose, in terms of the animation, the flow sort of.
Yeah, like. Yes,
but
they
you
do.
Don't even see that in every pipe, do you? You only see it in certain segments that they've revealed, and other segments are completely opaque. And
it's every fourth segment, I think it is. Every fourth segment, I think, actually has that clear window. But then again, if I'm at max zoom, I then have to zoom back in to then see which way things are flowing. And exactly. Is it water or steam? One of the two is really, really hard to decide which way it's going at the best of times.
Yeah.
The one thing I will be interested in is there are waves now. And I'm interested how that little thing is going to show up with waves. All right. Many big thanks go to Quinter and mainly the Yeast for coming up with the model and doing lots of work with me on tuning it and finding improvements to the behavior. As nice as now, in case you're interested in more details, the Yeast forum post and source simulator code. So I have the simulator running, which is it's pretty, and this is the default way it pops up, I think. No, I've changed things already. Refresh the page. So I went to the blank and I got rid of the tank, which then filled up all the pipes nicely. But then when I added a refinery here and a refinery here, there's all sorts of waves oscillating back and forth across the whole network. And they clear out eventually, mostly. But yeah, just food for thought, people.
It seems an element of realism that we kind of... It's not something you really want to worry about, is it? I mean, you've got resources where they are and you want to just connect them up.
Yeah.
And have as few pipes as possible, so you've got as few slowdowns to your UPS caused by excessive pipes everywhere, and now you have to worry about waves slowing everything down for a while, apparently.
Currently, the game has not really waves, but more of a slosh, right? You know, if you fire liquid into a pipe, it's going to run all the way to the far end and potentially overfill the far end past, say if you only filled the pipes to 50% because you put a measured amount into the pipes by hooking a tank up and pumping it out. When it runs to the far end, it will overfill that end pipe past the 50% because it'll all slosh to the end, hit the end, and then roll all the way back. And that is something that's already in 16 and 15 and 14 and so forth. And we're going to have a certain amount of that retained. So yeah, it's nice to have it, but I do worry about the UPS cost. So yeah, that's actually the next topic. The overhauls and optimizations in Friday Fact 271 cut the update time by some 50% and up to 10 times on some high-end CPUs, which was this lovely graph here that me and Mojo got stuck on for however long because it didn't make any sense. Apart from, higher graph means better performance.
Yes.
Introducing the new algorithm made it immediately 30% slower. So we've gained 50%, then we've lost 30% of the 50%? Or
is it of the 50% or is it 50 goes down to 20?
Yeah. Long story short, for various fixes, including a small change that made the algorithm one pass again, which I'm definitely a fan to hear.
Yep.
The increase was cut down to 15%. But yeah, as Locator said, is it 15% of 50%, or is it we gained 50 and then we lost 15, so now we're at 35?
35, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'd like to get that 10 times though. That sounds good. Which high-end CPUs do you have to get that?
Basically, the more threads you have and the higher clock speed of the threads with more cache and so on and so forth.
The closer to the 10 times you get.
Yeah.
Is that hyper threads or real threads?
Oh, look, at the end of the day, a hyper thread's almost as good as a real thread. Almost as good, but yeah. So the overall result is the fluid update is still a lot faster than it was before. I'm still debating segment merging, which I'm a fan of, actually. And segment merging, if we scroll back up to the pretty picture of long pipes, means because it's a long straight pipe, it's like belts. Rather than calculating 200 individual belt pieces,
just do one.
It's just whatever goes on the front has to come out the end. So it's definitely calculate a whole lot as well.
Yeah, sorry. There's definitely times where there's a possibility of using a long pipe, and because it's terrible with all those individual segments being calculated for UPS, you just don't want to do it, right?
Correct.
The whole idea of having like a fluid bus. I know some people quite like fluid buses, but they don't tend to build particularly large. Those of us that like to build large, it's like, well, it's a sort of nice idea, but it's not something we can do. But maybe if they had this in there, it's something that you could actually take seriously.
It comes down to I can't afford the UPS and I can't afford the throughput, because by the time it goes into my bus, out my bus, goes to plastic, acid, something else, there's nothing left after it got to plastic. There's a couple of dribbles that go past.
About 1 billion pumps all the way along.
Even with 1 billion pumps, if you're doing it right, it's So, fluid mixing. That's right, no more fluid mixing, which, I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm a fan of this or not, to be honest.
Really? I have had some major little whoopsies, and suddenly you've got this major problem that takes forever to get rid of. You rip up all the pipes, you put them back down, you think you got rid of it, you still find there's a tiny little bit left that propagates, and it's like, ugh.
I have too. So don't get me wrong, I have too. But they've fixed it and introduced a new problem at the same time. So I've had the same oopsie where I've put down the wrong pipe in the wrong tile, and suddenly like the light and the heavy oil have mixed together and bad things have happened. In the past, at least you could put a steam turbine, right, or a steam engine onto the pipe in 15 and prior, and it just emptied all the fluids and made it disappear into nothingness. Didn't give you power unless you heat it up to 100 degrees first, but it just made it all disappear. But they removed that in 16. So then you had to go with the physically hovering over every single pipe section to make sure it had the right liquid in it. Or my plan, which was blueprint everything, filter deconstruct every pipe. be patient enough that the bot's got every pipe, because often I'm not, and I've just stamped it back down. And then, of course, one that's been marked for deconstruction that a bot hasn't picked up, and the other one that's already been removed, a bot comes and places down, and suddenly the light oil that wasn't the one marked for deconstruction jumps across to the other pipe, and I'm back in square one. Yeah. So yeah, once an empty fluid system connected network of fluid boxes, pipes, crafting machines, etc. touches either a fluid or a fluid filter, the system is locked into that fluid. And it's not possible to connect another fluid system with a different fluid. There are quite a few actions that can result in merging systems when each need to be checked. Building an entity with a fluid box, pipes, pumps, storage tanks. Setting a recipe with a fluid input-output, and rotating an entity. In order to use the system with different fluid, the system must be first reset, draining its fluid and removing all the filters. So they've basically they have done one thing. It means now you can put 3 pipes beside one another without an issue. And they'll all be straight pipes, I think.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a good question.
If that actually is an outcome of it, that is a nice outcome.
I don't think they can, because the pipes would still try to interconnect. And you might have a flash up an error with no, bugger off, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and I actually do prefer that over just getting the mixing and ripping it all out. So, I mean, if you do have the situation where you can put these straight pipes next to each other and they're not going to interconnect because they can't, because the interconnecting fluids is not allowed anymore, but you're allowed to put the pipes next to each other, then that's wonderful.
That is wonderful, but I'm not sure. Like,
I don't think they explicitly say that. So
no,
because that's the case.
He's trying to click and it's just saying no. But then that brings up the question that if I have 3 sets of straight pipes all blueprinted together, no, because as soon as one touches, that all touch. As soon as one touches heavy oil, that all become heavy oil, even if the one beside it was hooked up to light. Yeah, I know. Okay. I don't know.
I'm guessing you can't. You still have to
have that one tile gap.
Yeah.
Because there are so many times I come to corners, I'm like, I need to turn this one 90 degrees, I need to turn the other one 90 degrees, like right beside it, and the 2 single straight bits of pipe would end up joining together, and that's how I end up with my fluid contaminations. But yeah, like, the only time I've intentionally moved from one liquid to another is with flame retardants, and it was during the GM8 event where we were fighting Bitezilla, where we went from heavy oil to light oil or something. The flamers, they're all connected via one long pipeline, and we had massive problems draining that pipeline because a pump would get stuck there with 0.00001 fluid in it.
Refused to take the other fluid. Yes.
Yeah.
And really, we should have just used crude all along, but
we should have.
That's not your point, is it?
No. The answer back then was somebody had to physically pick up the pump and then put a new one down, and it
took too long. By then, we were overrun by the damn things. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. It's going to be great for the noobs because they'll never know the experience of, oops, I put down a pipe in the wrong spot, and.
I don't actually think it's an experience the noobs have to go through, you know.
Trial by fire? I guarantee you somebody will mod it back in. If there is a way to mod it back in, somebody will do it.
Yeah, it's not a mod I'd pick up. I love this graphic. This is almost the best part of this whole thing, given that they're taking back some of the UPS they're saving us, is the whole there was fluid mixing and it's gone. I just love that.
Yeah. Okay.
If you really want fluid mixing, I'm sure there's a mod maker out there who'll give it back to you.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is some mod maker that will.
I'm not the one.
Yeah. So, a Mac OS developer needed. At the start of the week, our longtime Mac OS maintainer and web admin, Hands the Q, let us know he's leaving the team to move on to other projects. He's been part of the Factorio team for nearly 4 years. His time has contributed a lot to the game and the community. All wish him the best in his future endeavors. basically, Woob needs a Mac OS developer. So if you really feel like doing some Mac OS jobs and you know how to program Mac OS, go yell at Woob. You might get a job. And
by the way, we have the largely untested graphics engine rewrite due to be released with 0.17 in January.
Yeah.
So we're going to be very busy over the holiday season.
Yeah. Mac might not get 17, or they might just push 17 back. We'll see. Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a small job.
Oh well, you said January. They said early 2017. I'm still going with like April, March, April. It won't be January.
Am I reading something into this by suggesting January?
Yeah, it won't be that early.
No, probably not.
What else? Woob's finally started selling Steam keys direct from them, which I don't understand, but yeah, we've long sold the game through our own website, which involves receiving code, registering an account, and I've received some community feedback. From this feedback, we decided to start selling Steam keys directly through our site. On the buy page, we're given a choice, a website key or a Steam key. Now,
you can get the Steam key anyway, though.
Yeah, if you get a website key, you register an account, you redeemed a Steam key, and then you whacked it in Steam and it downloaded. It was... Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. You can now buy a Steam key straight from Woob.
Okay.
Through Humble Bundle, because Humble actually runs their market. Their
oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah, their card. So Steam Awards 2018. Steam Awards are voting. Factorio is nominated for Most Fun with a Machine. There are also 2 other Czech games nominated for the same category. Country is quite well represented, and they're going up against Euro Truck Simulator, Rocket League, 9, Nia, Automata, Factorio, and Space Engineers. And I think they're going to be up against some really hard competition between Rocket League, Space Engineers, and Nier Automata. I looked at it. It looks really, really pretty.
Does it?
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of like a steampunk meets like Final Fantasy giant, little people with giant swords. And of course, Space Engineers, which has been developed for not quite as long as Factorio, but it seems like it sometimes. No, longer than Factorio. Well, it's been on Steam Store for longer than Factorio. I'll say that much. So
I've never played any of those other 4.
Rocket League's free.
That doesn't alter the fact I've never played it.
No, I'm just saying. Yeah, it's steep competition.
Okay.
Either way, go vote for Factorio. I think that's the bottom line of that one.
Yeah.
And then an animal has been named after the game. A few species of scorpion, Neobuttrus Factorio, was identified and classified. My father has a hobby of going not only to dangerous places and identifying undiscovered species of scorpions and spiders. He offered to name one of his classifications after the game for fun. You can find the full publication here. Now, I've gone and looked up the publication. And that is the Factorio Scorpion, which looks pretty nasty. And of course, I didn't send Locator this image beforehand, so we'll send him that link. And apologise, it takes forever to load.
It doesn't.
But it's a nasty scorpion on page like 34 of an 80-page document, and it means that straight away I want to see a scorpion in the game.
Well, it's funny you say that, because on the Steam version of the Friday Facts page, there's actually a guy called Killer47, about 5 down, who says the scorpion has to be in the game.
Yes.
And it should be a boss biter, which only spawns when you launch a rocket.
Yes. And I added to that and I said, okay, I want it to have pincers for close range attack, the tail for long, like spitter range, worm range attack, and I wanted to outrange a laser by 2 tiles. Just 2 tiles. And I figure if they pop up, like, at that point, you've probably got nukes. so you just run out and nuke them. But it means you need to go back to sort of manually handling some of your defenses. At the same time, if you have artillery, my issue is they should deploy to use their tails. So at that point, artillery will auto target them. So they might get 1 or 2 shots off, and then artillery shell lands on their head, which would be hilarious. But yeah, I want to see a Scorpion in the game.
I'd like to see a Scorpion in the game. I'm not sure if, like a boss biter just brings back memories of those Bitezilla thing, which are just buckets of hit points, and otherwise they don't actually represent any
slow and lots and lots and lots of hit points. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you manage to get caught by it,
it's one hit. One hit, you're dead.
They'll damage you pretty quickly, but you basically just line up your flamers and on all sides, box it in, and it might kill a couple of your flamers, but 400,000 hit points, whatever they were, go down pretty fast.
Yeah, we also worked out in a previous game, 10 nukes is the magic number.
10, right? 10,
just bang, 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 and then run away.
And they're gone.
Yeah, new problem. Yeah.
Assuming you have them. I mean, I think the Bitezilla came out quite early, didn't it?
For that particular map, we were screwed with them. But yeah, it was another map, another community map we did, and Bitezillas were nothing. And yeah, you just want to pop up the map behind the front line, and somebody like, yeah, I've got it, run out, just nuke it, just run away. Yep. So yeah,
I do think it would be cool to have, a little bit of variety with the whole. The only problem really is that biters aren't really what the game's about. I mean, they're just this. They give an added dimension, and I haven't used them. They haven't been a key focus of my own solo games for a while, just because when you're building really big, they just get annoying. But there are situations where you kind of want something to add that dimension.
They're really an early to mid game. By the time you get to late game, you just want to turn them off. And we've both said this before. Like early mid game, great. Late game, no, just off. Flick a switch. It is what it is. But yeah, I'd like to see the Scorpion. You never know. Maybe it'll come with the Spidertron that was promised in version 12 or 13. And still isn't here.
I've gone awfully quiet on the Spidertron. I'm kind of thinking we're not getting it now.
Yeah, they every single update, they're like, okay, here is the latest version, and Spidertron is going to be in the next version. And then as the next version sort of gets a little bit closer towards being completed and everything else, it's like, well, we've decided that it's going to get pushed back to the next update. So maybe we can have a Spidertron and a Factorio Scorpitron, and the two of them could battle it out, and
may the best automated unit win.
That's it. Scorpions need to climb up cliffs.
What is it? Where exactly is the Spidertron supposed to fit in the scheme of things? Is it supposed to be like the robot army, and it's like your own automated thing that you just send out there, or is it like a tank?
It's like a tank. It's an all-terrain, high-speed tank. Because in the past, trees used to stop a tank.
Well, now the tank just smashes them down, and the tank's not very fast.
Well, rocks and a cliff stop a tank, whereas a Spidertron would go over and around it. So, but then again, you can now blow up cliffs and rocks with bots. So, yeah, I don't know.
If they made it an automated, I think they should actually have an automated unit.
An automated unit that just charges out and attacks everything for you?
Yeah, exactly.
I would support that entirely.
Maybe, it would be late-ish games, so that
maybe that's the answer for you and me, and for that late game stuff. Just have a Spidertron, have an assembler that builds Spidertrons that just stack up in a little group of 10, just go out and just clear biter bases. And
it's
just
pretty much exactly what Robot Army does, but
yeah, it does. but
like, this way, it's not a mod. And
it's not a mod. It's part of the base game. It's the same as Upgrade Planner was a mod made by one of the devs. It's now going to become part of the game. And Cliff Explosives, again, a mod. It's now going to be part of the game. We just need
quite a few other examples as well if you really go into it.
Oh, there is. We just need bots to be able to carry landfill. That'd be a great addition.
Yep.
They can carry concrete. They can carry bricks. You know, you might as well just carry the landfill. Just run over the lake and drop it anywhere you want, guys. Yeah. So, any other thoughts for Factorio Friday Facts 274?
Well, not really. I mean, obviously, getting all that information is huge. I really like the fact we'll actually know what we're doing rather than dealing with a black box. Realism. Most of these, sometimes when they come up with these ideas, I kind of look back at some of the things that have come out, and I've always been sort of, and then when I've sort of played with it for a while, it's like, well, this is really good, actually.
Yes. That's always the way it goes. It could be like really, really good on paper, like Cliffs, and then in-game sucks, like Cliffs.
Yep. Yeah.
Or it could be like a so-so idea on paper, and then when you actually play with it, you're like, no, this has to stay. This has made the game that much better. And I think the fluid system, it's broken. We all know it's broken. It's been broken forever. It needs that update, and we've been waiting for that update. And I guess any performance gain is a performance gain, even if it is 50% minus 15, or whether it's 50% subtracting 15% of 50%, whatever it happens to be. Either way, it's some sort of positive.
Yeah, it's an improvement, and that's always more than welcome. Yeah. It's just, do you really need realism over performance to this extent?
No. My answer is always going to be performance. I really want performance. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If I could play the game with a tick box to turn off every little animation and just had all the graphics be static to save 1 or 2 UPS, I would do it. Because there's been more than one base where I'm like, 2 UPS would make this playable again.
Yes.
For another 24 hours until I've broken it far enough that it's not playable anymore. But
I think 30 is basically the magic number. Once you dip down to sort of 29 UPS, it's kind of, that's just going too far.
No,
I can kind of accept. So 1 UPS at that point.
20 is the number.
20 is the number. Threshold, is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Because below 30, you can always put on Power Armor Mark 3 and run faster. And do everything via bots, you know? But 20 is the point where it's like, even though I'm running 3 times faster,
I'm still not really moving very
the
fast.
game's so slow that I can't move I can't move anywhere accurately. So yeah. But yeah, like performance, I think Factorio is one of those games where performance really, really matters, because the further they open up the envelope and let us build bigger, the bigger we end up building. And then we hit that UPS limit again. And like, computers keep getting faster. But there hasn't been a base that I've seen since 12, where there's always a base that hits that UPS limit, where people are playing at 20 or 15 or sub 30 UPS all the time. Because they've hit that limit, and they've pushed on and on and on, and they've got sort of to that really, really slow game speed. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the realistic pipes and everything else.
I mean, I suppose you should probably take a little bit of responsibility on yourself to some extent when you build big.
You should.
In the first place, to understand sort of what the UPS impact is likely to be when you get to your end goal.
It is.
But you'd like the game to. I mean, obviously, part of what makes Factorio as good and as enduring as it is now is not just the fact that it's great out of the box, but it's great also because there's a ton of really good, interesting mods that do all sorts of different things to gameplay, and some add lots of complex elements to the game.
Yeah.
Now, if you can't play those complex mods because of performance, I think then that's sort of an issue that's bigger than just I've built a really big base, which I should have known better than doing it in the first place, because I know what UPS impact I had on my last base that was quite big. So of course it's going to be possibly even worse with this one. I mean, I guess you could have the same argument that you shouldn't necessarily build such a complex mod that it's going to hammer performance so much, but it's part of the joy of the whole thing, isn't it?
I think my first half a dozen bases where I built too big, it was because I played Factorio. I played the chase the bottleneck around the base until everything's going as fast as possible and you don't have a bottleneck anymore. And I think that's one of the things that's really kept me playing Factorio, because until I really learnt about correct ratios and everything else, I could spend 3 days chasing around a bottleneck from, like, you know, it's copper for green circuits. Oh no, green circuits now fixed. Okay, now it's green circuits for red circuits. Oh, that's now fixed. And now it's red circuits, plastic for red circuits. You know, and that's stopping the blue circuits, which just chasing that bottleneck all the way around till I'm back where I started. And that is really the thing with Factorio. But it's always meant that my base inherently just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until I started hitting those UPS limits. And yeah, performance is really the biggest thing with Factorio, you know. And yeah, as I said, you know, a button to just turn off graphics, I'd tick it. You know, a button to make liquids instantly teleport, even though I lose realism, I'd probably tick it eventually.
I don't think it would take me too long to tick that one, even though I appreciate the art of what they're doing here, and I'm sure I'll end up loving it more than I currently probably do. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the sort of thing that if you're going to double my pipe throughput, and the thing that has probably been the most heinous underperformer as far as throughput and good UPS goes in the game for the last 5 years, pipes, then I would sacrifice the realism. I mean, you kind of need some of the realism because you want the flow properly, but to the extent that they've gone, it's kind of...
I think it comes to that not start game, not big game, not late game, but the very, very late game where UPS is all that matters at that point, because you just want to reach your goal of, you know, your arbitrary goal you've set for, you know, 3,000 science pack, 5,000 science pack, you know, 5 rockets per minute, whatever goal you've set, you just want to reach that goal. And I guess that point was like, yep, what can I tick to make it this better? Anything, I'll tick it. I'll just, done.
Yeah,
I've seen that's why people have installed stuff like Bob's Mods, where you get the God modules, and suddenly, you know, you want a single assembler to do 1,000 blue circuits per minute. Yeah, just put in all the right modules and all the magic ingredients, and it happens.
Then you hit a different performance issue when you find that the machine can actually not update faster than once per tick sort of thing. So you can only get 60 updates in a second, regardless of how fast you make it with your God modules.
Yeah. So... yeah, it's. I think that's what really makes Factorio. The chasing the bottleneck and the eventual hitting that UPS wall. Because anyone who's played a base long enough has eventually hit that UPS wall.
One way or another.
One way or another. So yeah. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for 274. Merry Christmas to everybody, because there's not another Friday Facts till...
After. Wow.
After. Yeah. Another one on the 29th. It's like pitched perfectly between Christmas and New Year's, and so there's one more Friday Facts for 2018.
Well, yes. Well, I hope everybody has a joyful holiday season, however you celebrate it.
Yeah. I'm going to go with plain and simple Merry Christmas, because I'm boring and I've had a crap week. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Luke Couture, for swinging by, and we'll see you in the next one.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.